Hey guys, it is Monday, April 9th, 2018. This is Jen Blood here on Facebook Live, Mutt-tastic Monday. I've got Margie with me. And yes, the obligatory intro. I am Jen Blood, USA Today bestselling author of the Aaron Solomon Mysteries and the Flint Canine Search and Rescue Mysteries, all of which you can find at your favorite online retailer if you're interested. That's enough selling. We can move on. And Margie is very tired today. She's always tired around this time. She's actually not tired for most of the day. Most of the day she's a little raving lunatic who runs around everywhere and goes a little nuts. But it seems that around by 4 she's worn herself out. And so this is a nice time for her to just relax. And apparently she's going to do that in my arms for a little while. We'll see how it goes. She has a bed on the floor beside me, and she usually ends up sleeping there about shortly into this. But anyway, so I wanted to talk today about, oh, she's waking up. You're waking up. What you doing? Are you awake enough to move, or are you just awake enough to loll? You're lolling. Okay. I wanted to talk today a little bit about trainers, which is something that I am very interested in. I actually completed a training course through Animal Behavior College. So I am technically a certified dog trainer. I've done a lot of research and reading, and I did internships and apprenticeships. But that was several years ago, and so I have the title technically, but I don't actually, I certainly don't bill myself as a dog trainer and tell people that I'm qualified to fix their dogs in general. But I like to talk to people about it. I certainly like to learn more about it, and I try to at least do some stuff with Margie, though I don't know. She's 8 months old now. She seems to be turning into a monster. I think that's just the age. I'm hoping that's just the age, but we'll see. I'm sorry. I called you a monster. You're not a monster, are you? You're lovely. Anyway, dog trainers. Oh, what is it? Are you going to get down? That was just Magnus. We're on TV now. Anyway, okay, dog trainers. And so, yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the dog trainers that I follow. There are definitely dog trainers that I am personally leery of. Dog whisperer. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not a fan of the dog whisperer, though. So, there you go. Hi, Kate. So yeah, Caesar Milano, not my favorite. But there are some other dog trainers out there that are really phenomenal, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I've read that they do. And yeah, and maybe get your feedback to find out who you listen to. Are you ready to get done? Okay. Down you go, Higgins. All right, she's down. I'm back. Okay, so my top trainers. I love, my number one is Patricia McConnell. And I always get her mixed up with Patricia Cornwell, who of course writes the Scarpetta Mysteries. Totally different person. Not even, I mean, they might be a little bit alike, but they certainly write very different things. So yeah, but Patricia McConnell, is a certified, I believe, animal behaviorist, and a doctor with decades of experience and lots of degrees behind her, and really knows her stuff, and has written some phenomenal books on the topic of not just canine behavior, but animal behavior plays into her books. And so one of my favorites that she's done is The Other End of the Leash, which talks a lot about just canine behavior and really the science behind the science behind their behavior, the science behind training, and it's that kind of thing that I think is so important, and actually specifically the science behind positive training. I'm very much about positive training, and we can talk a little bit about what that means in a minute. But she talks about the science behind positive training, and the fact that she knows as much as she does, and she's as accomplished as she is, and has been doing what she does for as long as she has, all of that gives me a lot of faith in her. So, yeah, there are other dog trainers out there who are more assertive, bordering on aggressive with dogs. And you know, there's a big foundation of that kind of training, but it's not necessarily based in science. A lot of it is based in, I think, machismo and sort of gut instinct, but not necessarily what science has learned to be true about behavior. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. And to be clear, I didn't always feel that way. It wasn't until I actually started really doing research and learning about all of these things and reading the books that I understood the danger of a stronger hand in training. And that's not to say that you need to be strong. You need to be a confident trainer when you're working with your dog, but there's a lot of misinformation out there about dominance and pack theory and all of that stuff that doesn't necessarily apply to dogs. And so a lot of that has been debunked, but it's still unfortunately making the rounds in the world. So whenever I'm around people and they start talking about how my dog is trying to dominate me, or not Margie never tries to, I mean, yeah, no one ever says, hey, your little dog is trying to dominate you, to me with Margie. But, you know, when people are talking about their dogs, a lot of times they'll talk about dominance and stuff like that. And in general, I take that with a grain of salt and generally recognize that they probably don't have a firm understanding of what they're talking about. So, Patricia McConnell writes some great essays about dominance and pack theory and all of that, and lays it out in very clear terms that makes it understandable for pretty much anyone to get clear on what it's all about. So I highly recommend her. The Other End of the Leash is a good one. For the Love of a Dog, is that the one I have? Yeah, For the Love of a Dog, which is right here. I love this. I don't know if you are like this. I'm like this, where any book that's about dogs makes me cry. So even if it's just like science-y, once it starts getting into the anecdotal stuff where they're talking about the dogs and how lovely they are, and the stories between the dogs and the humans, or dogs and anything, plants, whatever. it always really gets to me, and I get a little bit emotional about it. And so for the love of a dog, I mostly listen to on Audible, and there were lots of times when I was driving down the highway and just like weeping copiously, because yeah, dogs, whatever. So, but I do highly recommend it. It's really interesting and some great information in there. The other trainer that I love is Dr. Ian Dunbar, who I keep buying his book, but he's got tons of books. But the one how to teach a new puppy old tricks. Is that right? I think that's right. I keep buying that one, and then every time somebody gets a new dog and they start talking to me about training, then I give them my copy. So I'm forever out of copies. I need to find a place where it's super cheap and just buy a ton of them. But he's great. I have his puppy training video, Sirius puppy training, which I got when I was fostering Margie and her siblings, because I wanted to have a clear sense of how best to work with them and give them the foundation that they needed. So I got that, and I love what he does. I love what he talks about and everything else. One of the things that I'll say about it is some of his stuff is not totally rooted in, not completely grounded in reality for a lot of people. There are definitely some people who have the time and the resources and the whatever to do everything that he advocates doing for the puppy from the moment that he comes into the home, or the moment that you decide that that's what you're going to get, that particular puppy. And that's great. That's awesome. If you can do that, then that's great. But I have gotten feedback from people who say that they just get overwhelmed and discouraged when they read his books, because they feel like they're immediately a failure because they haven't been able to do like all the things that he talks about doing. So, and I can understand that. I certainly haven't. I started out doing great with Margie and Rosie and Sage when I had all three girls, and we had a lot of enrichment activities and whatever. But that was a short window of time when I could devote all of my time and energy to being a puppy mama. But once that short window of time was over and Margie integrated into our lives full time, then it quickly became clear that I couldn't actually devote all of my financial resources and my time to setting up doggy gyms and all of those things. So she still has a pretty good life, but I'm not. She's not my full-time sole concern, I guess, is where that goes. So, and I think, but a lot of when I read Ian Dunbar's stuff, then I often think that, wow, who has the time to do all of the things that he advocates doing? All that said, he's a phenomenal resource. If you haven't checked out the website, dogstardaily.com, that is, whether you have a new puppy or you have an older puppy or you have a grown dog, that has so many resources on training and behavioral stuff and nutrition stuff, and just everything you could ever want to know is right there. So dogstardaily.com, totally recommend it. That again is a positive training model, and I've learned so much on that website. It's an awesome free resource, so I highly recommend that. And he also did a podcast for a while. I'm not going to remember the name of it right now. I can put it in the link, in the description later. But if you look up Ian Dunbar podcast, you can certainly find that. And that's worth listening to as well. He does that with his son and his daughter-in-law, I think. I think that's who that is, but his family. And they have great information. It's a quick snippet. It's usually, I think, 20 minutes or so. So it's just something that's nice to kind of get a little bit of information quickly and then, you know, move on with your day. So that's another one that's a good one. And another resource that's really good is on YouTube. It's KikoPup. It's KikoPup. That's the, and I'm totally blanking on the trainer. Ugh, I hate that. But I will figure it out, put it in the description. But KikoPup, just look that up on YouTube. And Emily Larlham. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's it. That's right. I mean, Emily Larlham, I believe, is the name of the trainer. And she's awesome. She's got a great way about her. She's got great dogs. She works, unlike Dr. Dunbar, who works a lot with puppies from breeders from the very start. He's done some great work with rescue, so I don't want to set him up as just an exclusive purebred trainer by any means. He and his family have really done some extraordinary work with rescues around the world, but a lot of his work centers around young puppies that you get early on. But Emily's stuff on KikoPup on YouTube, a lot of it is older dogs. It talks about definitely shelter dogs and issues that you deal with when you're adopting a rescue. And so again, there's so many great free resources out there, but you have to be so careful because there are also really horrible free resources out there. And so it's kind of I certainly find that when I get recommendations from someone that I respect, who knows a little bit about animals and specifically dogs, and that's very valuable because otherwise you can so go down the rabbit hole on the internet when you're trying to figure out training and get some genuinely horrific advice from people who just don't really know what they're talking about with respect to dogs. So those are the three that I recommend right off the top of my head. Patricia McConnell, Ian Dunbar, and YouTube KikoPup. So another book that I love is Pamela Reed's Accelerated Training. It's a long subtitle. Explaining how dogs learn and bow and how. Yeah, how best to train them. That's teach them. That's what happens when you try to read upside down from your thing. That one gets into some pretty heavy-duty theory, and it's not a light read by any means, but it's still interesting. So I've read it a couple of times and always learned something new from that. So I recommend that as well. And yeah, so those are some of the resources that I have. And then just for fun, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the fiction or some of the other stuff that I've been reading for fun that's dog related. So and I think I've mentioned this, a couple of these before on like blogs that I've written and stuff like that, but it's the danger of looking at myself in the picture where I just keep obsessing over like little flyaways on my hair. Just stay focused on the camera. Anyway, yeah. So I've mentioned some of these writers before, but I really love them, and so I recommend them, and I try to mention them whenever I can because there's really good stuff out there. So one of the ones that I don't know if I've talked about before, but I'm actually going to try to get her on here to interview her. Now, here's the caveat. She doesn't actually write about dogs, but she writes about animals, and she's amazing, and I love her. And her name is Pamela Beason, Beason. She has a couple of series, at least a couple of series out there. The Sam Weston series, which is sort of reminiscent of Nevada Bar, but is a little bit, there's a little bit more romance in there, and it's not quite as intense as the Anna Pigeon series, which I love, but I really love Pamela Beason's stuff, and the first book in the Sam Weston series, seriously, could not put it down. Loved it, and I highly recommend that. She also has a young adult series that doesn't have anything to do with animals, but I love it anyway. And so, yeah, Pamela Beason, she's very interested in animals and conservation and stuff like that. So again, I'm going to drop her a line and see if I can arrange an interview with her on one of these Mutt-tastic Mondays, because I think that would be a lot of fun. So, Pam Beason, she's number one. Another one is Jen Dana, and she has a couple of series, but one of them is, one of them she writes under Sarah Driscoll, and that is a canine series, and it's so good. That one, she has a background in science, and so everything she writes is so meticulously researched, but it doesn't get obnoxious, if that makes sense. So yeah, she's awesome. I love her. So I highly recommend checking out Sarah Driscoll's Canine series, and if you're looking for more than Jen J. Dana, just her work in general is just stellar. It's so good. And her other series is about a, oh my God, my brain does not work as well as it used to. Yep, whatever. It's along the lines of the Kathy Reich series. And so she, yeah, she just does a great job. So those are a couple of authors that people may not have heard of before that I really highly recommend. Pamela Beason, Sarah Driscoll / Jen Dana. And then Kate Flora, who is another one that I'm going to try to arrange an interview here on Mutt-tastic Monday. She is a Maine-based mystery author and does a lot of work with true crime, and she has like the coolest relationship with the cops in this state and around. She used to be a lawyer, so she's just super cool. She's awesome. She's sort of my hero. I want to be her when I grow up. And so yeah, but Kate Flora, she's great, and she wrote Death Dealer, which if you like true crime, totally couldn't put it down. Fascinating, well researched, totally. And then, you know, that there's a lot of information there about canine search and rescue, if that's something you're interested in. And otherwise, it's just a good, cool story. And she has a bunch of others. She has a couple of other true crime, and then she has a couple of mystery series, and all of her work is just stellar. She's phenomenal. So highly recommend her as well. And so I just thought I would take a minute, take the time today to give some information about that stuff, and yeah, talk about a little bit about the books that I'm reading and the books that I've read, and give you a chance. I would love it if you want to comment with any of the books that you've read in the past. that stuck with you, either training or just dog series, that stuff. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you about that. And I also would love to hear from you about people you would like me, you would be interested in hearing from on these Mutt-tastic Mondays. I definitely want to do some interviews, and I have some ideas. And so, yeah, Kate Flora, I have a lot of incredible dog trainers that I have good relationships with, and I'm planning on setting some stuff up so that I'm going to be doing Facebook Live Mutt-tastic Mondays with them. And so I'll do that in advance so that if you have training questions, we can actually field those during that Q&A hour. And so if you're interested in that, then just comment and let me know. And yeah, I really want to hear from you guys to find out how best to make this Mutt-tastic Monday thing interesting for you. Because I kind of love this. This is really fun for me. But obviously I want you guys to have fun too and be interested and learn something from it, which is always a good thing. So that is the rundown for today. So I have it's not going to be here next week, so it won't be next week, but in a couple of weeks I'm going to have a special Mutt-tastic Monday where I will be interviewing someone. I don't know who yet, but someone for sure. So we'll be doing a special Mutt-tastic Monday. I'll interview someone to be announced. And then I have these awesome little prize packs that I've put together with swag from my Darkest Thread series and Inside the Echo of the bookmarks, and the trading cards haven't come in yet, but they'll be coming in soon. And so, and I have these great little biscuits that a friend of mine who runs a commercial biscuit company, she makes those dog biscuits for me. And so I have these little packages that I give out at signings, but I always feel bad because my online readers don't get to have fun stuff like that. So I thought that it would be fun to do a special Mutt-tastic Monday in a couple of weeks where I have the little prize packs. So there'll be dog biscuits and there'll be bookmarks and just fun stuff. And we can do that in a couple of days. A couple of weeks. And I will let you know. Next Mutt-tastic Monday, I don't know what I'll talk about. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I'll figure something out. I'll let you guys know. I will be here again for sure next Monday at 4 p.m. And I will also let you know about the special Mutt-tastic Monday in a couple of weeks. So that's it, unless you guys have questions. And it doesn't sound like it so far. But I'm very psyched to see that some of you, I see that Cynthia mentioned that she's going to go check out KikoPup, which is awesome because I can't recommend her enough. I so love her stuff. And Kate, yay, I'm so glad you're checking out the Sarah Driscoll series because I'll be really interested to hear what you think because I really do love it. And yeah, she has a co-writer that she works with, and the co-writer knows dogs so well, and that really, between the two of them, that really comes through. So yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that. So, all right, I am going to close out. Ooh, okay, that's really interesting, Kate, about Death and Bloodhound Red. I had heard about that, and I had been meaning to check it out, but I hadn't yet. So, yeah, that's really interesting to hear. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. Thank you for that feedback. And, yeah. All right. So yeah, anytime you have feedback about any of the books that you're reading, it's always really interesting to me. Obviously, I'm a writer and a reader, so that stuff is always interesting. All right, now I'm gonna go. I'll grab Margie. She can say goodbye as well. Margie, it's time to say goodbye. Come here, little one. Oh, come here. Oh. She's so sleepy. She's never sleepy like this, except when I'm doing this. And then she just kind of crashes. All right. Thanks very much, you guys. This was another good one. And I will, I'll be back next Monday. And if you haven't liked my Facebook author page, it would be awesome if you gave it a like. And I will be back next week. Bye.